Hi there. Welcome to our class on the second house and living your best second house life. So, what is the second house? The first house is basically like how we come into the world, right? It's just like how we're showing up in the world, and it correlates to when we're a baby and our sense of being able to like get out there and do things ourselves. Our second house is our concept of stability, like physical or like practical material, basically material stability. And we start to get this concept of, what life is like in this area for us as soon as we're born, um, maybe even sooner. And we inherit some of it genetically from our parents and their parents and their parents. So this is something that gets embedded into us on a really deep level. And then the patterns that we experience, not always, but often, will tend to repeat themselves throughout life. And, people who felt very secure in a material area when they were very, very young usually go on to expect to continue to be comfortable and secure and have the things that they want later in life. And they tend to do so. Um, when we're that young, it like we don't really process that like maybe the situation is just isn't fair. Usually, like we just kind of assume like however it is, that's how it is, and it's sort of what we deserve. So if we um, live in a situation where we don't have our material needs met and we don't have material security and stability, we tend to, as we go throughout life, sort of assume that it's because we don't deserve it. So our self worth is a really relevant thing in the second house. It's part of the second house. And essentially, what it ends up becoming is the way that we manifest our concept of ourselves into our material world around us, like our physical stuff as kind of an extension of our inner world. And, obviously it's more complicated than that. I mean, there are people that are born into situations that are a lot more financially comfortable, and it's not necessarily just something that's inside of them. If their parents are going to buy them a house when they turn 20, then obviously it's a very different type of experience than what most people have. So I mean, there's different um, like social factors involved as well. But for the second house, we're not so much focusing on those things. I just don't want to entirely discount that side of it. The second house is more just about like I said, like how our inner concept of these things ends up manifesting in our life experience. And while like I'm not trying to say that like anybody can do anything, because I don't want to be invalidating or dismissive, essentially, but for the purposes of this class, what I would like to do is just kind of, well, what I like to do is see myself with the second house lifestyle that I would like to have, and just like feel that lifestyle, like feel the energy of that lifestyle. Like, how does it feel when I am, washing my hands at the bathroom sink, and there's like fluffy new towels, and there's a beautiful soap dispenser, and the surroundings look the way that I want them to look. And I'm using some expensive hand soap that I happen to really like. And when I'm, driving in my car, I envision myself, like on my way to the store. And if there's something I want, I can just buy it. And I'm not even thinking about, whether it's a wise purchase right now. It's, um, just about whether I actually really even want it or not. It's kind of interesting, I've learned. Um, when you could buy whatever you want, all of a sudden there's this realization that like a lot of things that you thought maybe you wanted and weren't buying, like just because uh, it wasn't a wise decision or you didn't have the money or whatever. Suddenly it's like, oh, well, I don't really actually feel like getting that because like I could, sure, but now that it's about whether I actually really truly want it or not, I'm like, I don't know that I do. So, just this mindset of if there's something that I really want to buy, I can buy it. If there's something I really want, it'll come to me one way or another. And just like leaning into that energy and just like closing my eyes, not while I'm driving, but closing my eyes and just like feeling the energy of that lifestyle, this abundance energy. And I can just like feel it coming into my body through my crown chakra and just like filling up my whole body. And um, this is something, if you have your second house in a water sign or have something like Pluto or your moon or something like that, Neptune in your second house, then this is something that might come a little bit more naturally to you than it would to people with other placements. But this is a really powerful thing. So, what ends up happening when you do this is you like it feels really good, and the more of that energy you can bring in, the more you're actually like changing your energetic like set point and like changing your own energy so that it is in alignment with actually manifesting that into your life. Like you're changing your like inner expectation. But this doesn't just like happen like automatically just because you're like visualizing what you want. um, what ends up happening is we start to feel resistance. Like parts of us are like, what are you doing? Like, this is not safe because I happen to know that we like should not expect to have that much money because, we don't want to get our hopes up because of, oh, this awful thing. And then the idea is to interact with those parts and, just love them. And they usually need to hear something like you love them no matter what. And you're not going to be mad if, this happens or that happens or this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen, and that you'll take care of them no matter what. And, even in a worst case scenario kind of situation, you will still be with them and you'll never punish them, never abandon them, never reject them, never love them any less. So once they have like security on that level and know that you are actually like your true self actually is in a good position to, maybe do things differently than you have in the past or attract different types of um, people into your experience that are going to be um, more in line with the types of opportunities and experiences that you would like to have. This is a very powerful way to like actually change your financial situation, and I have done this and it works. And it's very exciting. When I actually had the idea to offer this program, like my first initial idea with this program was to make it just about this. I'm like, like I have, okay, so I'm just going to put this out there. I actually channeled the instructions for how to do this, how to like focus on that energy, bring it in, because we can actually move energy. So we can like, you know, any energy that exists is out there, and also within us, because the entire universe is within us, and we can actually move energy around. And energy is the like energy proceeds or precedes, sorry, energy precedes manifestation. So if you can move energy around, and we can, then you can actually like, it's like pulling on the puppet strings almost. And I'm not talking about like other people as puppets, but just like the physical world, the world of manifestation of form, um, like actually changes when we change the energy. So it's like the energy is the actual thing, and then the manifestation is just like an echo of it, or a shadow cast by the energy. So, you know, focusing on the energetic aspect of it is like it actually works. And I actually changed my own life pretty dramatically using this. And then I also was told like, Joy, you weren't just given this so you could make your own life better. You're supposed to share this with the world. And like I've kind of been like, okay, but how? But now here I am. I'm doing that. I'm recording this video. So when I initially wanted to, like my initial concept of how to do this program, when it first like, you know, popped into my head, was actually to focus specifically on the second house stuff. And then through a series of polls in the group, I found that like when I asked people like, you know, if you could change anything about your life, like which house would you want to see the improvement in? And second house was like not one of the top answers. I mean, it wasn't one of the lowest answers, but I thought it would be the top answer. Like, who's not going to say they want more money? I mean, come on. But it wasn't, you know, people were talking about wanting professional fulfillment, primarily. That was by far the number one choice that people had. And I do get it, because professional fulfillment is a very important thing in life. However, I think one of the reasons that people chose that is because they just kind of like have it in their head that money has to come from work, and they would rather do something that they don't dislike, which a lot of people do things that they don't particularly care to do for work. And um, and additionally, they figure that if, you know, they're really getting fulfillment, that's going to include the monetary reward that is something improved from whatever they're doing now. So I think when people chose 10th house, in a lot of ways they were actually choosing second house without like realizing it, or wanting to admit that they basically just wanted more money. Um, However, like I said, professional fulfillment is a pretty important thing too. And anyways, so one of the things that I think is important to note about the second house is that it's not just like our money and our possessions and our self-worth. It's not just that stuff, it's also our likes and dislikes. And a lot of times when people talk about the second house, they talk about values. And I think when most people hear values, they're thinking of like ethics and morals, like I value loyalty in a relationship or something like that. But that's not what this is. This is the kind of values that are like, um, these are the things that I like, and these are the things that I don't like. For example, I do not like, I'm trying to of an example, and of course I'm not going to be able to off the top of my head. Well, the idea is that it's sensory in nature mainly, and like aesthetic and like lifestyle stuff. Like have you ever walked into a home and like it's clear that whoever decorated it like was really into their style, and you're just like, I would not want to live here. It's just way too busy, or these colors are just like not for me, or I just don't like the way it looks. Um, so this can be more of like a fourth house thing, like having a cozy ambiance in your home. However, the fourth house is more about those familial relationships and less about the like aesthetics. Like ambiance is a part of it, but I think that in terms of like having stuff that you like as an extension of you in your space is more of a second house thing. So second house is also values in terms of um, I value cherry pie over pumpkin pie as an example. And you know, just general like aesthetics and like sensory experiences and preferences. So um what you enjoy and don't enjoy, essentially. That's what the second house is about. Well, like what you find pleasurable and lovely. I mean, it's ruled by Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. So this is like the sensory side of Venus, um, as the not the. So when people talk about the ruler of a house, a lot of times they're talking about the accidental ruler, but I'm talking about the natural ruler, which is Taurus. So, anyways, when it comes to improving your own second house, like transforming your own second house, I think that of all of the placements that could possibly have an easy time of it or be like more likely to do it or more effective at doing it, the ones that are going to be like the most effective are going to be second house in Scorpio and Pluto in the second house. I mean, this is transformation. So people with those placements are going to have a little bit more of an, I don't want to say easy time because there's like not really anything particularly easy about Scorpio or Pluto, but the natural tendency in their lives is going to be to have this type of transformation. Um, and with those placements, there's some ability to focus on magic, which is, you know, what we're doing when we're messing with energy like this. And also being very self-controlled about spending can be another way that these placements will manifest. And like being secretive, having intense desires, and like emotional attachments to your things is another thing that could happen. Um, and it's going to be really important for anybody that has earth signs, I'm sorry, earth houses in water signs, which, you know, so that's like Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Like if the second house is in any of those, that, you know, um, and sixth house and 10th house. So when this is the case, it's really important to have a nice um, energetic environment for yourself. because it has a really strong impact on your emotional well-being. So, do that thing where you like pick up stuff and like feel the energy. There's my amethyst again. Feel the energy. And, if it doesn't feel good to you, you can do the thing like thank you and then give it away or throw it away. And, being cautious about bringing stuff into your space. I used to be really bad about just like if somebody offered me something, I would take it whether I wanted it or not, and then it would just like sit in my house indefinitely. It was really bad. I hate that. I would never do that again. I will not allow things into my space unless I actually want them there. Um, and what I would actually like is to be in a position to get a whole bunch of replacements for things that I've had in the past, because most of my stuff spent 2 years in a storage unit. And I had done that thing where I went through as I moved the stuff into the storage unit and got rid of anything that I didn't love or need. Like if I didn't love it or need it, gone. But I changed a lot during those 2 years and grew a lot during those 2 years. And when I came back, I found that, a lot of this stuff, some of it was hand me downs when I got it, when I became an adult. And I still have this stuff. Like my dresser, I've had, since I moved out of my parents' house, and it was a hand me down and it was my ex husband's. Ew. So, like, as an example, I have all the stuff that, like, just has absorbed energy from the past in my life that it just does not feel pleasant to be around that energy. So, I would really like to just update a lot of these items with things that I actually want and things that feel good and things, that feel cozy and have a nice ambiance. And I can just like walk into my house and be like, I just love it so much in here, which I don't get right now. So like I'm very grateful for where I am, and I don't mean to suggest that I'm not. However, it'd be pretty cool to, keep, it's a game, and like I've started to win and I want to keep heading in this direction. It's nice. So that's kind of where I am with my second house stuff, and I'm going to keep allowing this energy in and keep manifesting this abundance. And one of the most powerful things that we can do in this process is to be grateful for what we already have, because when we put ourselves in the energy of gratitude, we're putting ourselves in a receptive and appreciative and positive energetic place, so we can continue to receive. Like it's the energy of receiving. So gratitude for all of the things that you appreciate about your second house already is a very powerful way to continue to receive more things that you like in your second house. And I would say with the second house that it's important to note that it is not necessarily related to your own income. Um, it's stuff that you have, yes, but that doesn't mean you have to work for it, not in the second house. Somebody can have a lot of money without having earned any of it. That's a thing that happens. And just because you work really hard and make a difference in the world doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a lot of money yourself. So they're not necessarily connected. And I think it's a good idea to be very aware of this as we're, doing our magic related to the second house, because we don't have to know where it's going to come from. We can just be open to receiving, and and then there it is. I would all right, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I would caution to not get too out of balance with focusing on, you know, this one particular area, especially with Pluto in the second house, especially with the second house being in Scorpio, because, um, you know, there can be some obsessiveness with those placements. And if you get too out of balance with it, then other areas of your life might suffer as a result. So, like, what good is all the money in the world if you don't have your health? What good is all the money in the world if you don't have anything else? You know, so um, this is a wonderful area to improve. Like, obviously, I enjoy improving this area myself. But I would say, you know, just kind of keep it in context of the rest of your life and, you know, just appreciate all around and, you know, just be open to positive experiences in other areas of life as well. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I should say about the second house. I think that's about it. Yeah, all right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. And so we'd love to hear what you think about it. And I am looking forward to the group session. And yeah, that's about it. All right. Thank you. Good night.